Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. The actions of security personnel outside the House of Assembly on Tuesday has sparked debate as members of the opposition argue that they were unjustifiably denied entry to the House of Assembly to address the media in a more preferred setting. However, the MPs did not go in silence and challenged the security personnel as to why a similar outcome did not befall members of the cabinet who carried out interviews outside the House of Assembly.
Members of the opposition say they encountered difficulty in orchestrating media interviews before the sitting of Parliament on Tuesday, the 29th of September, when the arriving MPs were denied entry to the House of Assembly by an active security guard. Our cameras captured the initial moments as SLP Communications Officer Mondi Lewis and Castries South MP Ernest Hilaire confronted the guard in question. The situation was quickly resolved when Hilaire challenged the officer to justify his demand with a supporting standing order.
There's a rule of Parliament that says only the Prime Minister can do interviews.
Instructed by the President of the Senate to have the interviews outside.
No, but there is no standing order. There is no rule of Parliament. No, but there must be rules of Parliament. The President of the Senate cannot issue her own rule that it cannot be. I'm not saying no, but I mean, I'm a parliamentarian.
However, moments later, Leader of the opposition Philip J. Pierre was faced with the same circumstances from the active guard. Pierre did not confront the guard, however he did question the selectiveness of the guard's action. Pierre believes that this reflects recent behaviors of government and is symbolic of a nearing general election.
The government is cutting its pants down, and elections are coming, and they're going wild, doing all kinds of things, all kinds of roads to nowhere, all kinds of projects. But our party will remain focused on the issues, and we are going to put the people of St. Lucia first.
The opposition leader proceeded to conduct interviews outside the House of Assembly. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Minister for Physical Planning and MP for Soufrière, Herod Stanislas, has lamented what he says are deliberate efforts to paint the development at the foot of Gaupiton in a bad light, when in reality he says the development has been advantageous for his constituency.
As he addressed the House of Assembly on Tuesday, September 29th, Minister for Physical Planning and MP for Soufrière, Herod Stanislas, said it is imperative that he put the issue of development within the Piton management area into proper context. The minister says that over the past month, efforts have been made to paint the matter in a negative light, deliberately leaving out several key aspects of what is taking place. He reiterated that suggestions that the site could lose its World Heritage status are far-fetched. Stanislas says, having visited the site himself, he is confident that authorities are strictly monitoring the construction taking place. The minister lauded the efforts of the developer to enrich both the community and the environment in Soufrière.
It is also important to note, Mr. Speaker, that 1. There are currently approximately 120 persons from the community of Choiseul and Soufrière employed on the project. Over 1,000 trees will be replanted, and a nursery for the plants currently exists next to the site.
He believes that members of the public will be pleased to know that developers have also maintained beach access in the area, even going the extra mile by investing in public facilities and supporting the Soufrière Regional Development Foundation in efforts to refurbish the Gaupiton Trail.
Beach access in the area remains public, and in fact, the developer has improved the road access to the beach. A public car park area which didn't exist before has been allocated by the developer, and the developer has also commenced assisting the Soufrière Regional Development Foundation with improving the Gaupiton Nature Trail.
The planning minister implores members of the public to make their own judgments on the matter. He believes that the public is being misguided by political operatives to blindly oppose the ongoing construction. Jacques Wooding, Hot 7 News.
Prime Minister Alan Shastney defended the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Bill inside Parliament on Tuesday. He expressed astonishment at the opposition to the bill, stating that in essence it is a collection of the statutory instruments implemented under the now-ended state of emergency, but giving the government much more limited power. He calls it a great alternative to the state of emergency.
So when persons say they've had no involvement or consultation, we quickly remind them that we've not done anything new. All we've done is taken the SIs in which they consulted and were part of and put them all under one act. And we gave it a life of 2 years. Why did we choose 2 years? Because 2 years is pretty much the consensus of the experts as to how long it may take. Now, the experts may be wrong, and it's going to take less. And if it does, then the Minister of Health can recommend that the act be terminated.
He notes that the possibility could also be that the government might have to extend the bill once the 2-year period is up if the pandemic has not ended. One thing he says is very clear. That is, the country cannot stay in a permanent or indefinite state of emergency.
That in essence, the state of emergency gives the government much broader powers. Doesn't even have to be for COVID issues. Although I am very proud about the members on this side, that even with that awesome authority, that we have never abused it for 1 minute and have stayed in the context of COVID-19.
That was Prime Minister Alan Shastny. Now, the leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre, has pinpointed specific areas of concern regarding the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Bill. Genevieve Gonzague tells us more.
During his presentation, leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre, expressed that umbrage should be taken as many of the stakeholders or bodies that could either provide expertise or be directly affected by the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Bill were not part of the consultative body or were completely ignored when they expressed their grievances.
How can you trust a government that is passing a bill about COVID? Functions of the command center. There is not one representative from the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association, nor there is any representative from the opposition. And you talk about a national effort for COVID. Not one member from the Medical and Dental Association, Mr. Speaker. Not one member. You speak about consultation. The Bar Association, made up of lawyers in this country, has told you that there are provisions in this act that need to be looked into. You ignore them.
He says, given that it was public knowledge that the state of emergency would have come to an end on September 30th, the government had ample time to not only publicize the contents of the bill, but also engage in extensive consultation. Pierre says, despite what the current administration has said about the opposition not being supportive of the decisions being made on behalf of the country during this global pandemic, the opposition cannot and will not sit back and allow the government to implement bills at their whim and fancy.
The opposition will support any measure to control COVID in the country. We were the first ones who began to speak about measures taken to protect COVID, Mr. Speaker. But the opposition cannot sit back and allow the government to do whatever they want. The government knew fully well that the state of emergency would have ended on the 4th of September. They knew fully well. That is not news, Mr. Speaker. That's not news. But because of the dictatorial attitude, because they believe that they have a right to do whatever they want to, Mr. Speaker, they have come at this last moment. They've abused their privileges by wanting to change the order, the order paper at the last moment, again using the majority abuse of this honorable House, Mr. Speaker, putting you in a position just because they have the power of the majority, Mr. Speaker.
At the end of the parliamentary sitting, the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Bill did, however, receive the eyes of approval, although a few amendments were made to certain sections. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Thank you, Genevieve. President Donald Trump's refusal to explicitly condemn a key far-right group has sparked outrage among opponents after a fierce and chaotic U.S. election debate. In the TV debate with rival Joe Biden, he instead called on the Proud Boys group to stand back and stand by. Members of the Proud Boys said on social media that the comments were historic and an endorsement. Biden said Trump had refused to disavow white supremacists. the first of 3 televised debates between the two men ahead of the November 3rd election, descended into squabbling, bickering, and insults, with U.S. media describing it as chaotic, ugly, and awful. The commission that regulates the debate said it would introduce new measures for the next 2 to maintain order. This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more after the break.